Come here. Get off.
So welcome to this week's episode of The Turn On. We are reading Me Astray, which is by Sondi Warner, also known as Lesser Known One, the number one, on all her socials and also in Wattpad. So the structure of this book is a little, just the how to get it is a little different. This book is available on Wattpad, which is a website, an app, and you have access to the book weekly, or is it just...
I don't know. I guess it's whenever they put up additional chapters.
Yeah. So this is more like this is not a Netflix kind of book, binge book. This is a NBC every Wednesday night, watch it as it comes book.
Yeah, unless you come to like we did after it's already up. But it's cool because it's not traditionally published.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's not traditionally published, but nonetheless, we picked it, which means this is a good-ass book. It's a good-ass story. So sit back, relax, get your wine, get your weed, get your whatever you need, and let's go.
Lead Me Astray by Sondi Warner, also known as Lesser Known One. I can no longer keep my shivers at bay. With a flick of his fingers, he directed Ari to climb on top of me. It was like a fever dream. She drove her hands through my hair and pulled me to her lips. Her body followed the back and forth drive of her kiss, and I tried to slow the grinding, but the blood had already rushed south. I was almost dizzy with vulnerability. Zir swore in a sexy undertone and settled in bed beside me. Was he touching himself? I peeked when Ari dipped her head and gave my nipple an experimental flick. He'd stripped down to nothing but boxers. I saw him grab a handful of his erection through the fabric. My vision dimmed as my eyes rolled back with Ari's hot mouth closing over my quivering breast. Ah, gods, I sighed as she moaned. That's it. Let yourselves go, Zir coaxed in a husky voice. Ari asked softly, how do you like to be touched? Her voice was seductive. It seemed electric. Her fingers grazing my emerging hard-on, groaning, I wrapped her hand around my cock. A faint reddening of her cheeks gave away her shyness, but she let me guide her. In fact, she tightened around me as my erection grew. I was caught off guard when she got the hang of things and slid her other hand between my legs. What are you doing? I breathed, clenching my thighs. But Zir cupped the back of my knee in a bid for me to relent. Give it a chance, he whispered. Smiling, I tried to catch my breath. Are you as willing to try new things? I asked. I sensed this exhilaration and uncertainty at the question, but he nodded anyway. Hell, why not? He asked faintly enough for me to wonder if I'd heard him right. I had no clue what made the self-disciplined law enforcement officer change his mind about sleeping together. I have since he thought he could pull out whenever he chose, but we were, each of us, bound by weeks of holding back. Now that it was started, it would be completed tonight. The detective tugged my legs apart and leaned over to kiss me. Ari eased a slick digit into my sheath while gripping my dick. At the same time, Zir toyed with the nipples her velvet tongue had left hardened. Rapture. Any question of performance went out the window. This wasn't a show. Having two lovers at once was a helpless but thrilling capitulation. My body jerked and quaked, chasing a feeling, arching off the bed. Take everything off, I gasped against Zir's lips as I clutched his throat. His maddening kiss swallowed the command, but I increased the erotic chokehold until he pulled back to stare, an inferno of passion in his searing gaze. I said get naked, I ordered. With a wolfish grin, he left the bed and came back nude. Satisfied? He asked. I devoured him with my eyes. He rose on his knees near my face as if he read my mind. I reached for his throbbing member and caressed him with expert finesse, surprised when Ari mimicked what I was doing. I hitched in a breath. Gods, yokai! Looking down at her in bliss, my inner erogenous zones contracted. I was soaked, so much so that her fingers were glazed. As spasms rippled through my erection, I begged for distraction before I blew my load. Zir pushed his member to my lips, the diversion I needed. I gazed at him in reverence, sucking his cock, ready for it when he grasped a fistful of my hair. Then, the eye contact. He was a master at it. Ah, senpai. I languished deeper in a love affair going nowhere. 2 aimless crushes. Feelings I had suppressed from my roommate burst to the surface as well. Ari's exploration of my sex made me hum around Zir's rod. As her questing digit plunged into my waves, I pictured my mouth like a hot ocean washing over him. All he could do was endure it the same way I was enduring her, them. My hands joined the hurricane of my lips and tongue. Middle finger dripping wet, I squeezed Zir's ass and his entire frame stiffened. I didn't force the issue, but I gently probed the puckered entrance until the fellatio made him weak. Give it a chance, I replayed his words back to him. Our charged stare intensified. I waited for him to trust me. Chuckling, his nod was barely perceptible, but it was enough. I slowly pushed my finger inside of him, almost to the second knuckle. He released a shaky breath, and I knew I had found his sweet spot when a gentle tap changed his sigh to a shuddering howl. His erection drizzled my lips with pre-cum. I lapped the nectar. Yet, my attention was split. From my periphery, I watched Ari rocking between my legs with her hands on my body. She licked her lips, and I quirked a brow the way the expression on her face divulged her fantasies. Don't resist, Zer murmured with a grin, seeing it too. I'm not, she blushed. He clutched her chin and gave her the kind of look that made superheroes weak. Her laughter broke into a husky whimper, eyebrows knit with craving. You can do it, he coached. Show me how. Her dark orbs glittered with interest when he tangled his hands in her hair to guide her. Her eager mouth went straight to my erection, up, down, and around in an erotic carousel. Shuddering, I paused milking Zir's hot, throbbing cock to watch the way she let herself be taken over. The way her ebony curls spilled against his tan skin turned me on. Her satisfying grip around the base of my shaft trapped the blood, but her oral threatened to release the floodgates. You're doing beautiful, honey. Zir showered her with praise. Take all of it. At his command, her kiss engulfed me. Oh, all right, fuck, yes, I sobbed. Her mouth was humid as a thundercloud. She maneuvered lower to flick her wicked tongue over my pussy, and my hips bucked in shock. No one had ever. I had never allowed it. Fuck, I whispered hoarsely. But I let her do it, and I took it out on Zir. I resumed the blowjob like my life depended on it. He gushed more pre-cum as I turned up the heat. I'm about to... He groaned, unable to finish the statement. I didn't care. I kept going. Ari tossed her hair over her shoulder and laved my clit faster. A flurry of sensations gathered in my pelvis, so much better than using a shower head. My undersexed body tasted mind-blowing pleasure on another's tongue. I writhed to meet her. Her soft hand still teased my erection. Every movement felt like impending orgasm. I wrote it out, but deluged with Zir's emotions too, I couldn't sustain it. I let Zir go and clutched Ari's face to stop her. She languidly made eye contact as she traced my pulsing dick along the outline of her lips. Seductive wasn't the word for it. Oh, you're going to be impossible to give up, aren't you? I thought.
That was Lead Me Astray by Sondi Warner, also known as Lesser Known One. So this book could best be described as a paranormal erotic murder mystery, right?
That sounds good.
This book is great, y'all. Like, please read it. It is such a good story with lots of twists and turns. And this is another story where it's told, each chapter is told from the perspective of one of the main characters. And it is just great. It's one of those books. This is one of those books that when we came up with the Turn On, this was the type of book that I imagined us doing. It features people of all genders, all races, just living, loving, and a good ass story. Fucking. Good fucking. We got to that. Okay, so I'm gonna give a synopsis. Kenrya, please stop me because I know I'm about to fuck this up.
Nah, you got it.
But it's so good. So just get on this train, ride with me. I know we're gonna get there. We be on lots of trains together, y'all. Choo choo.
That's what she said.
Okay. So the story starts with this black woman, Ari. She goes to a party with her younger sister. She gets killed at the party.
Sucks, man.
Sucks bad.
Yeah.
So she gets killed and then she kind of pops up. Her spirit pops up and is like, whoa, shit, what's going on? And she sees everybody in the commotion. But then she sees this person off in the distance looking at her like, oh, shit, that's fucked up.
Right. It's like clear eye contact.
Clear eye contact. And so Ari realizes, yo, this person can see me. So she follows him. So the person that she follows is Ms., which is a Japanese intersex person. And so Ari follows Ms. to their home and kind of...
Okay, y'all, we might as well. So we have a studio dog.
Yeah, we have a studio dog, and he just... So we tried to edit around him, but it's kind of difficult.
He is right here.
So he is right here in Kenrya's face and just did a whole little shimmy thing.
Hey. He's just gonna stare at me.
He's gonna stare at you.
Okay.
Okay, so Ari follows Ms. home to their home and just kind of becomes just a little pest.
Yeah.
And Ms. explains to Ari,
out.
like, yo, you got some unfinished business. So you just need to go on about your business and get your unfinished business taken care of.
So you can go.
The third character in the story is Zir. Zir is a detective that's responsible for investigating Ari's death. And he ends up as a part of the crew.
Right. And Zir's a werewolf.
He's a werewolf male.
Yes.
Male werewolf.
Yes.
Okay. So Ari's stuck between here and the afterlife because she has some unfinished business. And while she's trying to close out that business, she falls in love with Ms. and Zir. And they have a polyamorous relationship. After weeks and weeks of increasing tension, they have sex. So
that was what we just read.
And what we just read was the first time that they're having sex. Something important to note in the story is that Ms. is a sex worker. And because they're intersex, they don't like having sex other than just oral sex. They say anything above the top, we're good. You're not going below.
So above the waist, okay.
Yeah. Anything above the waist, yeah. Anything below that, sorry,
it's
boo.
Limits,
it's off limits.
And we should note that Ms. is also a supernatural being.
Yes.
They live between
the two worlds.
Right. And so the book is set in New Orleans, but it's also called Overlay City. Right. And So Overlay City sits at this like nexus of, it's like a space where
it's
the
like the
supernaturals and the humans all live together, but they can't necessarily identify each other.
Yes. We're going to have Sondi on.
Yeah. It's really cool. But it's like, it's like between heaven and...
It's like the overlay. It's like I looked at it as like the current tangible what we see world is New Orleans, and then Overlay City is like this transparent
that's on top of it.
It's a filter
on
top that some people can see, some people can't.
Right. And so Ms. is a soup, just like which is what they call themselves, short for supernatural, just as Zir is. And so Ms. That's why Ms. can see Ari when she dies. It's not, she doesn't have magical powers because she's intersex, or they don't have magical powers because they're intersex.
Yeah.
It's because they are also a supernatural.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this scene is a really big part of the story, because this is the first time that Ms. is letting their walls down and allowing anyone to see their body fully and experience them, right? So this is really big. So so that's where we start in the story. Again, I probably gave a horrible description of it. I hope I gave you enough of a description to want to read it. I cannot wait to talk to Sondi, because I feel like she has really built this world and really thought it out very well. Like just the little rules and the way things work.
And they're consistent.
And
right?
it's so, I'm just like, girl, that brain of yours is just amazing. So I'm really excited to talk to Sondi about it. But back to the story and the excerpt that we read. So this chapter, first, it is so sexy that Zira is a werewolf. Like, I would be fucking, he's a werewolf, but he has a human form.
Right.
And so it opens with him circling the two of them, kind of like a prey. Like they're prey and they're being hunted. And he kind of opens with like a soliloquy, maybe?
Oh, about about freedom.
To be truly free, we give up something. To be free, we lose the ability to ability to the capricious whims of our own primal selves. I mean, okay, in real life, if I was about to have sex with somebody and this nigga started prowling and giving me a speech, I'd be like, nigga.
Get it over here.
I have to get that Price is Right song so that I can play it when I'm trying to say.
If we can do that legally. Research.
Right, I guess. I was going to say fuck it, but we about to blow up. And I don't need somebody coming snatching a whole good episode.
Exactly.
So, all right. But I think what he's saying is really true. Like, in order to, like, have, like, good sex, it's primal. It is just like, you got to let loose, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I can see that. I mean, I think when I was reading that part, I was thinking that he was talking about like larger implications of letting yourself go. I wasn't even just thinking about the sex part of it.
Yeah.
So yes, with the sex part of it, I think very often I was just having this experience of like being in my head and not letting go on some shit. And that to me speaks to not tapping fully into that primal sense, right? Because you're thinking instead of just being a ball of actions, right? In the greater life part of it, it made me think of one of my favorite movies where he's in Fight Club when he's like, it's only when we lose everything that we can gain everything.
Oh my God.
Roll your eyes at me.
So hard.
Whatever.
But no, I get it. Like, once you let go of the veneer keeping everything together, that's when you were truly
able to fully
free.
engage. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this chapter was Ms., right?
Yes,
yeah, this chapter
Ms.
was
narrates.
Ms. And she said performance went out the window. They said performance went out the window. And I thought that was so true. Like, again, it goes back to this vulnerability. Like, I truly believe that. So I think about this. When I'm having sex with someone, I got a little gut.
Who doesn't?
It's a cute little baby gut, so I don't mind it. But you know how you look at porn and everybody got like these flat stomachs and they're so cute?
No.
Well, no.
Not the porn
I like
watch.
amateur porn. So yeah. But you know, like professional porn, everybody got these flat tone bodies. And you're like, this ain't really how it works, because one, if you're doing good breathing, that stomach is going in and out. And so I think about that when I think about like good sex versus really good sex. Like, you really have to like be vulnerable and abandon like just even the ideas of like how my body looks. You know, you really just have to like let it go And that's, to me, that's when it truly gets good, because you're like, fuck it, we are just here to have a good time.
Not worried about you judging me. I'm not judging you.
Exact. I mean, how you gonna judge somebody when you just had your whole face in their asshole?
It's so crazy because I think that's something sometimes we forget. Like I can't think of a time when I've ever in real time been judging somebody. Okay, I can think of one time where I was judging somebody. I wasn't judging their body. I was judging the fact that they were jackhammering into me. But I wasn't. I've never been having sex and been judging someone's body.
And you were probably judging
Ever.
that they were more like, you just really clueless about what's happening.
Yeah, he
here.
wasn't at all tuned into what my body was saying, or he was just hammering away. But I can't say that I've ever been thinking, oh, this person's got a gut, or no. I'm like, let me put this in my mouth.
By the time I'm here, I want this.
Yeah.
I want you. So
I'm probably kissing on
I might
that
have
gut.
judged you before we got to this point, but those judgments weren't hard enough to, keep you from getting this pussy.
Right.
So, yeah.
So why am I worried about you judging me when it's the furthest thing from my mind?
But we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think
Absolutely.
about when I was younger and I struggled with not only physical vulnerability, but emotional vulnerability. When I lost my fucks, I just really... Things became so much better because you're free.
Easier.
Because I think that I judge people. I don't judge people as much anymore. I feel like I'm getting much closer to being like judgment free of people. Like, you do your thing. Not saying that I don't do it completely, but
you're intentional about,
about not judging people.
I get it. Same. And I redirect myself. I catch myself. I be like, bitch, stop.
Yeah,
literally,
like
I will say that to myself. Like, don't do this.
Yeah, because you probably doing some shit somebody else judging, and it don't feel good, But when I freed myself of fucks, life became sweeter. Nectar became sweeter. Dicks became harder and pussies juicier.
Well, there you go. What more can you ask for?
So yeah, when you lose yourself of that judgment and you stop judging yourself and stop judging people, life is just so much easier. But I think I struggle with judging people so harshly because I was judging myself. And that was one of the things that I said I'm letting go for 2019 is just, I am freeing myself of judgment. I'm freeing myself.
2019 or 2020?
Letting go in 2019 for 2020.
Gotcha.
I am freeing myself of judgment and judging people, judging myself, and I think it starts with judging myself, because once I stop judging myself so harshly, that's the first person I care about the most. I'm gonna stop judging other people. And I think also that makes me a better mother, because I think a lot of times, this goes back to codependency. A lot of times you're so harsh on your kid because you're fearful of what people may think of how people judge you as a parent or judge your child. So letting go of that judgment heightens my vulnerability and makes, just sex and life so much better.
Yeah. Which is why it was pretty key right at the beginning of the excerpt that we wrote. Ms. is like, something, maybe I'm dizzy with vulnerability. And that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because to be stripped bare of it is like, because it's an armor. It holds you up. When you don't have that vulnerability, you were like the insides of a crustacean. Good and jelly like. I have the most random.
You do, but they're always illustrative.
Yeah. So, bitch, anal play.
Oh, yeah. I
loved it.
Well, and I love that there was the consent, the barely perceptible nod. Like, they waited to make sure that Zir said, okay.
Yeah.
And then did it. And then tapped that button.
He pushed the button. Tap, tap, to the tap.
Yeah, and he liked it. I wish more men would say okay.
I have a partner that just is so willing to try new things. And that in and of itself is a turn on.
Yeah.
Like, being willing to I got my box of stuff and I pull something out. I'm like, you okay with this? All right, let's try it. And you can tell he is freaking out like, what the fuck? But he lets go. And it is like I think that's part of why the sex is so great, because it is truly an experience. We are truly like learning and
Right. Because even if he was like, yeah, that's not for me, y'all tried it. And he was willing to trust you enough to try it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because what's really big, I have a note here, the biggest thing about this scene is that Ms. was able to trust her partners and surrender their partners. Y'all, I am so sorry. I'm working on it. And I truly hate that it's habit. So Ms. was able to trust their partners and surrender to them, which for the first time in her life had her experience this, for their first time in their life, had them experience this joy and this physical just
connection, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, sex is bodies and sweat and fluids and slapping, but when it's its best for me.
At one point they said that this was their first time being desired simply for being or something.
Not for like what they could give or.
I'll find it. But it was just so beautifully written, because they've spent their entire life in this body that they thought no one would want or no one would understand and appreciate. But they trusted their partners enough to really say, okay, I'm going to try this and trust that you're not going to hurt me or have me in some crazy situation. Right. And they were truly able to just enjoy and let go. And yes, it was a physical greatness, but it was also, for the first time, something emotional where they were able to like really connect with some people. So it was beautiful. Have you had an experience where you were like the kombucha girl? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, probably anal.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really afraid of it. And the first time I did it was bad. And it was because I didn't really want to do it. It was more that I was being pressured into it. And I said yes to get that nigga off my back. But then when I had anal with a partner where he, one, knew what he was doing. And like prepped me, you know, like made me come first, you know, all the things that we've talked about on previous episodes about making it easier. And I mean, quite honestly, had a penis that was better fit for anal sex. And that's not a bad thing at all. It was like, oh, bitch, this is possible.
And did you trust that partner wasn't going to hurt you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it absolutely went from something that I had a tiny bit of trepidation about because my past experience hadn't been great to something that I really enjoyed. Yeah. What about you?
I think maybe it was like my first threesome. Well, no, not my first threesome, but it was the first threesome that I like truly enjoyed. And it was because I was with a partner that I didn't feel. So I feel like when you're a woman that is queer and and enjoys having sex with other women, like I enjoy having sex with other women more in the setting of a threesome. Like I doubt that I'll have like a many one-on-one experiences, but I mean, that's Erica speaking today. It might change. I find that men find that out. I think I've said this before. Men find that out and they're like, "Ooh, great, we doing a threesome next week."
They fetishize you.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, let's not go there. If I want to, if this is something we're going to do, we're going to do it. And it's going to, you know, I want to, but it's not like, don't introduce me to every girlfriend. Like, hey, when we going, is she an option? So my first like threesome that I truly felt, the first threesome that got me hooked was in a situation I was with a partner. And he was on some like, we're going to do this because we want to do this. And so I was able to trust him in this process and open up and feel like he's not like recording this in his mind so he can play it back later on, or like, ooh, I got her, now I get to do this threesome with these two hot chicks. But it was just on some like, I care for you, I want you to have this experience, and I want to experience it too, let's do it together. And so it was like a really good experience, because we're these three people having this amazing time together, but it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I was being used or got. It was just, we're all here having a good time. But I had to trust that my partner was willing and open to just letting that happen.
Right. In your previous experiences, because you said that was the first one where you felt that way, was that not the case in your previous experiences?
I enjoyed the threesomes, but how we got to them were like kind of I felt like this nigga just trying to like set some shit up, like this is something that he probably always wanted to do. And so that's why also like I'm picky about who I have threesomes with, because it's just, this isn't a win for you. I mean, well, if you fucking me, it is a win. But like, this isn't something that you're like,
I'm not just doing this for you.
Yeah, or like, this was something I'm checking off on my bucket list. Like, when we have sex, I want you to be as concerned or more concerned about me getting mine than you are getting yours. I love worship. I love you to want to be with me, like all that shit. And so I want you to look at, if you're having a threesome with me, I want you to be like, ooh, I'm giving Erica this amazing gift. Right. And not on some like, ooh, I get to have a threesome. That kind of thing. No one wants to feel like they're being used. I mean, I love being used.
Some people, I'm about to say, some people do want to feel like maybe, that's some people's kink.
Yeah, but, just not, like, I don't want to feel like I'm being exploited to get this threesome. Especially when, and I say this all the time, like, especially when if you just have a good conversation with me, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be down for that shit. Right. Like, cheating. Like, dog, don't cheat on me.
Like, don't do this.
9 times out of 10, you gonna have a better time if you tell me this what you trying to do. Because I'll be like, hey, let's do this. I got some good ideas. I read books.
You do read books.
When they were having sex, y'all know I love to talk shit when I'm having sex. I like to talk. I like to hear. I can talk a nigga into coming. Like that is, I am good.
Wow. That's a fucking skill.
I talk shit. So I loved while they were having sex, Zier was praising Ari.
Yeah, that was great.
It was just so great.
And so Ari's 19 when she dies.
Yeah.
Zier's 26. I don't know how old
Miz is.
Yeah. Do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But they seem like they're all on the younger side of the on the younger side of the world.
Yeah. And it wasn't a big enough gap in there that it felt creepy. Or anything. Yeah. But if like Ari was like, "Can you show me?" And it was like, "Oh, okay." There's some teaching and some learning and whatnot going on
and
here.
This excerpt. You said you touched on it earlier, but this excerpt shows a lot. Like it makes communication and consent really sexy. Like. This excerpt really shows how sexy and normal consent and communication can be during sex. And I think that people joke or get pissed, like, you can't do nothing, you gay. Like, I think that there is a way to sexually ask somebody if I can stick my finger up your butt. Yeah. And it don't have to be...
Can I stick my finger up your butt?
Can I stick my finger up your butt? Like they were able to make consent and communication very sexy. And I wish that it was things like this was written. Well, I feel like it's written a lot in what we read, but I wish it was depicted more in mainstream media to show.
Yeah,
to
like
give
you never
people
see that in
ideas
movies.
Of how,
rom-coms is always like somebody grabbing somebody's head and kissing them lustily, and
which works great in rom-coms or when you're feeling everybody.
Because there's no ass. Yeah.
if you're not, or you're unsure, or like men are fucking clueless.
I'm sorry.
What?
So I was thinking about rom-coms and about people grabbing people, and remembered the time that somebody grabbed me in the middle of Times Square. That white dude grabbed me in the middle of Times Square and kissed me in my mouth, and I ran away.
Yeah, I would probably have the same. That's a good rom-com reaction.
Freaked out.
But
like, you don't get to just put your tongue in my mouth. There was zero consent and nothing to let you think that it was okay.
But I don't want to say in his defense, but in his defense, he's probably a clueless man that has grown up thinking that women want this shit because they see it in rom-coms, can't catch on to clues, you know? And so
I ran downstairs and onto a platform and onto a train.
Yeah. And it's like, that ain't how you do it. And so I wish that it was more seen how to ask for consent and how to, you know, like, I think it's so sexy when I see something and someone leans in and it's like, can I kiss you?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that is so sexy. And so the only time we talk about, not the only time, but so often when I see people talk about consent, it's in this very formal, or you have to do it this way. And it's like,
it was also, I think, illustrative of the fact that consent doesn't stop at the point that you start.
Yeah.
So like I literally just had this experience. Like, I wanted to put a vibrator in a spot, like not in a spot, but on a spot. And I asked, we were already having sex. I was like, can I try something? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Just a little vibrator to the balls.
Yeah.
But I asked because I didn't want him to freak out. You know, like, and it doesn't stop just because you've been having sex with somebody for months and months or years and years or whatever. Like, you still need to ask, even in the act, about adding new things into the pot. Don't just stick a dick in somebody's mouth without asking.
Yeah. Unless you have an agreement that
exactly
you can stick your dick in my mouth without asking.
Exactly.
There are a few people walking this earth that have that agreement, including that fine ass Trevante Rhodes.
Oh gosh, yeah,
Trevante, sir.
I was just looking at those pictures
This is your permission
again
slip
of him in his underwear.
Oh my God, is Calvin
Klein? Yes, Lord. Just pretty.
The Lord knew what he was doing when he put that man together.
Yeah.
Is he trash?
I don't think so. I follow him on something, and I've never. He posts a lot of poetry and stuff on IG. I haven't seen anything
Is he
trash.
Hotep?
I don't think so.
Well, if you are, I still do you.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have no babies by you.
Or any conversations? No,
Yeah.
you don't. No babies with Hoteps. But
oh yeah, I was gonna say, but
no, it has lasting implications.
It does, and we will leave that out for the editor's notes.
Oh, I don't give a shit. Who got fucks? Not me.
You know what? We're free of fucks. Man, I ran on my last fuck. Speaking of fucks, would you fuck a ghost or a werewolf? Because this whole scene is one person fucking a ghost and a werewolf.
Yeah.
Would you fuck a ghost or a werewolf?
Well, we talked about this on one of the the first season. We talked about fucking werecats.
Oh, I did ask. Would you fuck a werecat? So yeah. Okay.
I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that I am most comfortable with human forms. So the fact that this werewolf was in a human form, I feel like I'm not into bestiality. It's
yeah,
not
you
my
fucking
thing.
me and your back turned furry.
Yeah,
we don't have a problem.
I think that would be tough for me. But just the fact that he can shift and that he is a werewolf is not a deterrent.
Yeah,
because he's fine.
Yeah. There's a scene there's a part in the book later where he turns into a werewolf in front of them, and Arya's like, "Well, gird my loins." And I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think I want to fuck you in werewolf form, but to know that you can, it's kind of like when you see him like, ooh.
Yeah, it's like the ferocity that's just under the ferocity that's just under the under the surface. But then he's also described as like, what does he have? So he's his family's from India, because he says that he sometimes breaks into Punjab when he's like when he's cussing. So people don't know what he's saying. And then he's got like hazel eyes and clear skin, and I'm just like, okay.
Oh, he fine as hell. In my mind, everybody's fine. Like, everybody's fine, but they're older. Also, like, the idea of, like, me doing it with a 19-year-old, not at all.
No, thank
but,
you.
like, in my mind,
that's true. I did
Ari
make them
is
older in my
fine.
head.
And my fine Miz is just, the things I do to you, Miz. And Zier, like, y'all want another one in this group?
Right, and Miz does burlesque. Like, we didn't even talk about all of the,
Yeah. This is just like fucking dope.
Yeah.
And her their condo, their apartment, dope.
Yes. Yeah.
So
if you know how to find it.
It's just a great story, just great details, the way things overlap and get into. It's just just amazing. Last question, not sex related. Do you believe in ghosts?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that the people who we love never really leave us.
Yes.
And that they are around us all the time. And that doesn't frighten me, because they love us. They don't want to harm us. They just want to see how we're doing and help us out sometimes. And I remember when my daughter was really young, I had like certain spots in the house where I would nurse her. And I would always sit in my bed, on my side of the bed, and there was a corner, and she would always look up in that corner and laugh, like would be on the boob, and I'm talking a couple of weeks old, would pop off of the boob and be fucking cracking up, looking up in that corner. We lived there until she was 8 months old. And there's not a day that I can think of that she didn't look up there and laugh. And she didn't do it when we were sitting. It wasn't like she was tickled by breastfeeding, because she never did it when we were sitting in the living room. It was always in that spot. And I was convinced that one of her great grannies or somebody was up there fucking with her, and she thought that shit was hilarious. Yeah. It's the reason that I sage spaces. Besides just folks' energy, you never know who may still be lingering, who was a person of somebody else. And that's cool, but I don't want you here with me, because you don't love me, so I don't know what you mean for me. Even when I moved into the place where I live now, the first night that I slept there, I felt somebody like shake my toe. And I woke up and I looked around. I didn't see anything, but it was very distinct. I was a little freaked out, but also like, yeah, there's something to do for this. It's fine. I got some sage and burned it, and it was fine. And we do that periodically, especially as people come in and out of the house. If we have people, doing service work, you never know what folks are bringing with them, what their energy. Or if sometimes they bring really bad energy, and I do it as soon as they leave, because I believe it's not just the energy, but who we carry with us. So yeah, I do. Yeah. But I'm not afraid. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the older I get and the more people that are very dear to me pass on, I have no choice but to. Yeah. For many reasons. One, I have so many important people that have passed on, and so many things have happened to me. Y'all, we're going to have a crazy season, because I'll probably be sharing things later on. Yeah. But you can't tell me I ain't got somebody up there looking out for me. I mean, in addition to God, but he got a whole lot of people. I got somebody special with him on the main line. So yeah, like, I am convinced that my granny and my mama are here, and they look out for me and protect me and guide me and keep me safe from harm. So yeah, I totally believe that there are ghosts. I just hope that when it's my time to go, that I make it on the other end and I'm not trapped in this fucked up world.
I mean, in this book, she's trapped, but for them, I just think it's like they're visiting. Like, have you ever, so I lost, someone really close to me when I was in my 20s. And I remember being on the couch and just feeling him. He was there. I smelled him. That was the first thing. It just, all of a sudden, the room was just permeated with, like, everybody's got their smell, like their deodorant, their toothpaste, like the smells that make up them. And he was just there.
Yeah.
He just was. And I was like, hey, like, I see that you're here. I'm so glad you visited. I was still grieving. And I think that that's why he came. But I believe that they pop in.
Yeah.
And they pop out.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Okay, well, before we start crying.
I know.
I was about to start crying. Before we start crying, I will close this out again by saying this is just a really good book. I recommend y'all pick it up, read the whole thing. There are lots of really great erotic scenes in it, but also just a really good book by a really great Black
It's well
author.
written. It's funny. It's familiar, but also not.
Yeah, like, and I do not do paranormal. I do not do murder mysteries. I don't do any. Can y'all tell? Like, I like nigga shit. But this book just has me, unable to put it down. So, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to us go on and on about our dead folks that we carry with us. Thank you for letting us talk about consent and what that looks like and how we love some good, can I stick my finger in your booty as opposed to just sticking it there.
Yeah.
So with
it
that,
makes everything better.
it does. So with that said, that's this week's episode of The Turn On. So it's Erica and Kenrya, two hoes making it clap.
This episode was produced by us, Kenrya and Erica, and edited by Ballistic. The theme music is from Brazy. We want to hear from y'all. Send your book recommendations and all the burning sex and related questions that you want us to answer to theturnonpodcast@gmail.com. And please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter at The Turn On Pod and Instagram at The Turn On Podcast. And find links to books, transcripts, guest info, and other fun stuff at theturnonpodcast.com. And remember, the Turn On Podcast is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You can find more podcasts that you'll love at frolic.media/podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye!